Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today, hooey, do I have a humdinger for you all. We got the 4th sneak peek, and in my opinion, the only sneak peek that matters at this point for the upcoming Ant-Man and the Wasp update to coincide with the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie. We already know about Nadia/Hope Pym, and hopefully we'll be getting 2 uniforms for her. We already know about the Pimtron, which is probably a uniform for Giant Man, the character, / Goliath, the character. This is the newest update that we have gotten, and I'm hype about it for a couple of reasons that I'm going to have to explain to you guys. So let's just read it, and we'll go slowly because the hype has to build. It's kind of like fireworks. It's expected from the other one, but who would have thought that we would see so much power in such a small package? So yeah, what this means unequivocally is the following. The tier 3, the T3 equals tier 3, which means we are getting new tier 3 characters. We're getting new tier 3 characters because the sentence says from the other one, and then small package. The small package, of course, refers to, not me, refers to the tank, which, if you know from playing the game, Ant-Man's first uniform has a tank that he uses with his 5th skill. He throws up a tiny tank, then he throws one of those Pym discs, and then the tank gets really big and it lands on the enemy and then it explodes. It's also in the original Ant-Man movie where Hank has this exact keychain with the kind of toy tank on it. Now, some people have said this means that Giant Man is getting his tier 3. Absolutely not. It's obviously going to be Ant-Man. Ant-Man is the star of the movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp. His name is right there, and he is the small package. Ant-Man is the one that shrinks and gets bigger. Meanwhile, Giant Man or Goliath in this game only gets bigger. So it's absolutely unequivocally Ant-Man tier 3. And if you guys are now starting to get confused as to why I am so hype, and it's actually, this is like my 2nd gear. I go all the way up to like 7 or 8 gears. I really like Ant-Man, and I have had him. You guys can't see him right now, but this is Ant-Man right over here, and I've had Ant-Man tier 2 for as long as I possibly could have had him. He was my very first tier 2 character, and while he may be kind of a joke now, or a bit of a meme, or just not useful, I still love him to bits. I haven't worked on him enough to love him to bits, but I still worked on him enough to get him casually to rank 175, which in my opinion is pretty dang good. And that's meanwhile with a 5-star obelisk and a rare uniform. So I put a lot of work into the rest of his kit, but I don't know why I pressed back. I meant to press info. Yeah, I'm very excited about tier 3 Ant-Man, and I'll discuss in a few minutes what I expect tier 3 Ant-Man to get, or what I think he should get. But there's a little bit more to this teaser, because they said the other one, and then you see on the keychain an additional image that should be very familiar to you guys. Those 3 kind of leaf-shaped things that come together. It's not a flower, it's actually the sign for Uru. It's an Asgardian symbol. It's on Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. And yeah, it's for Thor. And if you still don't believe me, or you're still skeptical, if we jump over quickly to the Mobirum post, there is no hints on the text here, but when we scroll down just a little bit and we take a look very closely at the hashtags, they're very obvious. Thor have at the, hashtag make Thor phenomenal, hashtag Thor needs a better upgrade, hashtag strongest one there is. And now it makes sense if you go back to the original Twitter post, because it says it's expected from the other one, as in tier 3, the power upgrade is expected from the other one, Thor, because he's so powerful. He's super powerful. Well, he's actually quite powerful in this game, but he's also super powerful in the comics, and he's also pretty much the strongest character in Infinity War besides Thanos himself. So it's almost 100% guaranteed that we are getting a new Speed Tier 3 and a new Universal Tier 3. Now this has quite a few implications. I'm going to go over the Tier 3 implications before I go over the characters themselves, because if you don't care about these characters, you don't care about their Tier 3s, but the stuff I'm about to say matters for everyone. So as far as a new Speed Tier 3 goes, if you've been saving books and you've been playing against Corvus to get Spider-Man to Tier 3, stop. Don't Tier 3 Spider-Man unless you are 100% sure that you love Spider-Man and hate Ant-Man, because there's a chance, you might not want to hear this, but there's definitely a chance that Ant-Man's Tier 3 will be better than Spider-Man's, or that Ant-Man will be quote-unquote a better character after than Spider-Man. It's not a huge chance, because Ant-Man is quite crappy right now, but look at Captain America. That's all I have to say. If Ant-Man gets the Captain America treatment, which is what I'll talk about in a little bit, there's a very good chance he could be the new #1 or #2 speed hero alongside Winter Soldier, and that is just amazing, fantastic news. So I started grinding Corvus again today. I stopped playing Cull Obsidian for the Blast books, which I have 8 of. I've now moved back over to speed. I have 5, and I have about 40 attempts, 8 days, 5 times a day, to try and get the remaining 5 books so that I can tier 3 Ant-Man ASAP. Now, in addition to that, Thor coming in means that we are going to be getting another Universal or another World Boss Ultimate, because we need another Titan record. We need the Universal Titan record. Very good chance that we're going to be seeing the upgraded Ebony Maw World Boss Ultimate, where he has his uniform. Have no idea what this stage could hold as far as the requirements and as far as the restrictions and the challenges, but I'm excited to see it because as I go and I bounce between these stages, I'm honestly so refreshed by how different they feel, not only in terms of the space that you inhabit when you're playing against the enemy, but how the enemy reacts and plays with you. But we could also be seeing Thanos' World Boss Ultimate stage, and he could also drop Universal books. They could both drop them. Thanos could drop, you know, a chance to drop one of each, which is technically worse, but it's a possibility, and we'll have to wait and see. But it's something that you should start preparing for. Now, moving back to probably the most important question that you guys are wondering: what are we going to get for Tier 3 Thor and Tier 3 Ant-Man? Well, I don't have as many specific examples of skills for either of these characters. Thor has plenty of different moves that he could do, but I think it would be very, very cool and very recent if they gave Thor either the move that he does when he first gets to Wakanda in Infinity War, or the move that he does at the end. The move that he does at the beginning would be very cool as kind of an AoE clear effect. He just flies around the screen, just raining lightning down, and it would be kind of an extended version of Force of the Thunder God, where he just rises up and comes down. He just kind of like rotates around the screen a few times, but it would maybe feel a bit too similar. So it would be very cool to see some sort of charging effect where he kind of raises Stormbreaker up and charges it, and it would be something that he could do with any of his uniforms because he has a weapon in all of them, and then he points the Stormbreaker or whatever weapon at the enemy or just ahead of him, and he does kind of a channeling attack for, you know, 5 or 6 seconds, not indefinitely, but a kind of charge up and blast type of move like Captain America's heroic charge, but instead of Thor moving, he just channels lightning from his weapon, kind of like the kind of God Blast that he did to Thanos. Actually, he did a God Blast and then he threw Stormbreaker, so kind of the beginning part, but just hold that one. It would also be really cool if he threw Stormbreaker and it kind of spun around the arena a bunch of times, but I don't think it's epic enough. If it had a bunch of lightning coming out of it, yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's kind of the ideas that I've had, but I'm gonna throw it over to you guys, all the Thor fans and fanatics. Let me know what you think and what we could see maybe from the comic books that's not in the movies. As far as Thor as a character, he really doesn't need much. Giving his tier 3, he's probably the best character not having a tier 3 out of the ones we've gotten so far. Cap was missing damage, we know that. Spider-Man, I guess, was missing kind of damage, but his uniform solved that, so he wasn't really missing much. He just gets more of kind of damage and crowd control. And then Iron Man was missing some survivability, and the tier 3 kind of solves that because it gives more targets for the enemy to attack in the summons instead of attacking Iron Man himself and you dying and then you losing the match. But Thor kind of has it all. He's got crazy damage, he's got crazy AoE, and he's got survivability. Maybe he could get a bit more survivability, but I have no idea what is in store for us for the God of Thunder. It's really up in the air for him, and if he gets too big of a bump, he could definitely be in the talks for the best character in the game, because he's already very strong, and if he gets a tier 3 like Captain America, it's just going to get way, way, way out of hand. Thor is better than either Iron Man or Spider-Man was before they got their tier 3. Spider-Man was closer to the meta because of the webbing and the iframes, but in terms of raw damage, Thor is definitely above the 3 of them. So we're going to have to watch that one carefully, because if Netmarble overshoots it, we're going to have kind of an OP powerhouse on our hands. Not that I'm complaining about that. I'm sure plenty of you would love to have Thor be the #1 character in the game. I'm just saying, for balance's sake, if he's not as strong as that, it would actually be good. If he was somewhere between Iron Man and Captain America, that would be fantastic. Now, the more important and the more kind of underwhelming character right now is Ant-Man by far. He is the one that needs the biggest rework or kind of change. I will say this, in addition to the tier 3 speculation, I really hope he gets a uniform. I know that we've already seen uniforms teased for 2 characters, and you guys don't want to be overwhelmed with too many uniforms, especially if some of them are paywall or there's some sort of like tie-in to the legendary battle like they did with Black Panther. I really hope they don't do that because nobody liked that, but it's possible. But yeah, his skills just don't do much for me. They're fun, but they haven't been changed since the character was first introduced. He does change a couple of skills like size matters, but Flying Rush has been the same throughout all his iterations. A lot of his moves, Speeding Bullet, have been exactly the same. So it would be really nice to see Netmarble completely alter this character and really give him a bit more variety in his skills. In addition to the variety, I don't have a set idea for what his tier 3 could be, but he needs a bit of everything. He needs more damage first and foremost. He needs tons and tons of damage, so I hope his stats go up tremendously with his tier 3 because that's exactly what he needs first and foremost. He needs that Captain America stat buff, but then also in terms of the damage of his 6th skill, it needs to be fantastic. It needs to just really hit super hard for Ant-Man to be relevant at all, because right now he hits like, you know, a pool noodle. Additionally, the survivability is honestly not that good. He does have one long iframe with his 4th skill, but the guaranteed dodge is not as good as you think it is, and it's not as good as it used to be because so many characters now have ignore dodge, and ignore dodge trumps guaranteed dodge basically as often as you have it. So Winter Soldier one-shots Ant-Man no matter what, whether he's in iframe, whether he has his tier 2 passive up, no matter what. Quicksilver hits him 50% of the time, so that 87% guaranteed dodge is just not very impressive anymore. And the fact that this is his only tier 2 buff, and the fact that this is a 20-second effect that has a 30-second cooldown really hurts the character's survivability for the entire time, which basically means the whole time that he's in the game, he has survivability issues. No healing, no immunity, no invincibility, no guard hit. So I really do stress not only, he needs basically both damage and survivability as top priorities. Damage more so than survivability, but still. So that's why I think the tier 3 skill is not enough to make Ant-Man relevant. He needs also to get a uniform that buffs his skills and gives him some effects enough so that he can make his way into the meta. But I really hope that he does get into the meta because I love the character to bits. So that is my assessment, and that is the kind of catch up on the new sneak peek. The last thing I wanted to throw out there, just as a small teaser to those of you that are still here at the end, and I thank you for that, is if we go back to the original image that we talked about at the beginning of the video, we see that there's a watch there. Now this wasn't something that was my idea, but it was brought to my attention by one of my fans, very intelligently so. The watch could in fact be a teaser or a sneak or some kind of hint for Doctor Strange tier 3, because as we know, he likes to wear watches, and time is a very important aspect of his character and the kind of arc and trajectory of him, not only in the comics but also in the MCU. So I wanted to leave you guys off with that idea. I really enjoyed the creativity and the kind of genius of it. So let me know what you guys think of that as well. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me. Hit the bell if you don't want to miss any of my content. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.